The boy is playing a game. He was stopped by a giant.
One is poison, one is not.
The boy has been stuck at this level for a long time. Whichever side he chooses, he'll die. He decided to take a different route, manipulating the mouse to jump on the rim of the cup into the giant's eyes. With the giant's cry of pain, the boy is through. It's a game that monitors mental state.
Follow the rules, you lose. Choose violence, you win.
The school uses this to monitor Andrew. In the game, Andrew's decisions are cruel, but it works. The colonel was pleased. He always wanted to make Andrew a killer knife. Andrew passed his test. He was transferred to the senior team, the Fire Lizards. But his new teammates weren't easy to get along with. The captain was arrogant and conceited. On his first day, he isolated Andrew. He was not allowed to participate in the team's training. Only one girl on the team was willing to help Andrew. Often took him to training sessions after school. On the day of the match, the captain only let Andrew guard the door. He was not allowed to go into the training ground. Andrew was watching from the outside. The Fire Lizards were on the back foot. They were about to lose. Andrew finally resists the urge to enter the field. He is on the opposite side of the field from the enemy. When the enemy is down, he was on top. He holds his gun with both arms straight out, so that even if his arm is frozen, he can still shoot. And so Andre managed to turn the tide. But the captain was even more upset with him, because Andrew had made a fool of him. In the final exam, Andre came first. The colonel decided to put him in charge of his own squad. All of them were the most disobedient students in the school. There's even the bully who's always been at war with Andrew. But Andrew is also the most unorthodox of captains. He was determined to make it the best team in the school. The first day, the team was formed. Sirens came in the middle of the night. The school wants Andrew's team to take on both the Fire Lizards and the Jaguars. It doesn't make sense, but when the real war comes, it doesn't make sense. Andrew leads the team to the training ground. The door opens, but then he looks inside the cabin. No one was there. To avoid being trapped, Andrew sends 2 men to test it out first, and as soon as they entered the training ground, they were shot at. The enemy was hiding. Andrew started a second attempt. Tie a rope around Tom. He made him walk across the door, and soon Little Bean was shot too. But he got a good view of the enemy's position. Andrew had the men pull him back.
Don blows up a bunch of stars around their gate like a giant donut.
Instead, there was no one guarding the enemy camp. Andrew immediately had an idea. He rehearsed a new formation, everyone in a huddle, launching like a rocket, straight for the enemy camp, and they did it. And it pissed off Captain Fire Lizard for good. While Andrew was alone in the shower, the captain came back to stir up trouble, and Andrew secretly turned up the hot water in the bath. And when the captain rushed over to him, he threw the shower at him. The captain was so hot he couldn't open his eyes, but he continued to do it. Andrew pushed him away. The captain fell straight down. He suffered a severe blow to the back of his head. He's a vegetable. He may never wake up again. Andrew regretted it. He's been trying to control his violent side, but he still did this irreparable wrong. He asked the colonel to withdraw from the school on the spot. He didn't want to be a soldier anymore. The colonel couldn't talk Andrew out of it. He had to ask Andrew's sister for help. He told the girl the fate of humanity was at stake. Now only Anders can save all of humanity. The sister was very distressed, but there was nothing she could do but hold her brother and comfort him. There was nothing she could do. With her sister's persuasion, Andre finally came to his senses. He wanted to go back to school. Instead, the colonel took him straight to the High Pole command base near the home planet of the ants. If Andrew passed his final training, he could become the commander of the entire fleet. Andrew hates war, but everyone said the fate of humanity was in his hands. Andre had no choice.